Hello everyone, this is Ben here and I'm going to show you the project that I've been working on. It's been in development for about 7 months off and on. It's still pre-alpha, so there's a few bugs and missing features, and there's still a whole lot of work to do on it, so it's not ready for any kind of release right now. It's a voxel based game engine inspired by titles such as Minecraft, Cube World, and Ace of Spades. First got the idea because I was playing Minecraft and I really love how the world is completely procedurally generated and everything about that, but it just didn't feel large. Even though it was infinite, I wanted to see further. So I kind of brought my vision to life in this game, and I don't really have a title for it yet. I think I want to call it Seed of Andromeda, and I'm going to be making it kind of a futuristic game, still probably a survival. But anyways, I'll show you the features and try to give you a quick explanation on the technical side as well. First, you'll notice that you can see pretty far. I use a level of detail terrain rendering for all of the faraway scenery, but for up-close scenery, I use voxels. There's an obvious seam right now, and that should be alleviated when I add textures to the far distance terrain. Each voxel is half a meter, or 1/4 of the player's height. I chose a small block size because I wanted a high level of detail when building the world. But I think it works out pretty well. The whole memory usage issue isn't really a problem since I'm only using 1 byte per voxel right now. I'm probably going to up it to 2 bytes later on just to include damage values and have more possible block types. But anyways, the world is nearly infinite in every direction. Soft limit's about 30 million blocks, and you can dig down infinitely as well and go any direction. Once you get to 30 million blocks, weird things start to happen. But that's pretty far. I'm at about 325,000 in the Z coordinate right now, and no issues so far. Biome I'm in right now is a forest biome. It's currently the only biome. And this is because I just started getting to work on biomes, and I wanted to have a really cool forest to show before I started working on anything else. But this is, I guess, some kind of jungle biome or something. I don't really know. There's 3 tree types in it right now. They all use the same algorithm, just with different parameters, which means that, like the rest of the game, this is going to be completely customizable by the player. I'm going to have files included with the game that you can change, and it will affect different things in the world. For instance, you can change the noise functions themselves. You can create taller mountains, deeper oceans, more varied terrain, and you can share your files with people online and, share your worlds. I wanted to make the entire game completely customizable. I wanted the player to take a huge part in how the world looks if they choose. And I wanted them to be able to, share their creations in that aspect as well. But this is just a prototype of a forest right now. There's no, bushes or anything, but the 3 tree types are shrub, medium tree, and big, tall, thick tree. I don't really know what to call it. Yeah, no idea, but whatever. The world itself is chunk based. Here are the borders of the chunks. Each chunk is 32 by 32 by 32 blocks in dimension. And I feel like this is a pretty good size. It allows me to have pretty good batching when drawing and when updating and things like that. But let's get on to my favorite part of the engine. Let me make the sunrise. Oh yes, I do have sunrise, sunset. I have day-night cycles. It's a little iffy right now. There's no moon, there's no stars or anything like that, and there's only 1 color in the sunrise and sunset gradient. Now, I want to make it much prettier, add clouds, things like that, but that is for a later video. My favorite part of the engine is the volumetric water that I just added like a day ago. And basically, there is no easy source of infinite water anymore. If you want to get water, you have to take it out of a depleting source. There's not going to be easily available source blocks of water in the game, like in other voxel games, but I feel like this adds a good layer of realism to the game, and I think it looks quite nice too, and it's really fun to play around with, because it's kind of like a little more realistic physics than you would expect. The water does evaporate once it reaches a level of 1, and it sometimes leaves behind dirt instead of grass, it'll remove the grass, and eventually I'm going to make it also cause mud to appear, or something cool like that. Since it's volumetric, you can do a lot of cool things like flood tunnels and things like that. The water will spread as far as it can, so there is no real limit to the spreading of water. This will make things like rivers and waterfalls a little more difficult, but I'm gonna definitely figure out a way to make those work very nicely. And you know, when all else fails, it's fun to just flood the world with source blocks if you're in a creative mode. The water engine right now can handle quite a bit before it starts to get a little messy, and lose FPS or anything like that. But yeah, flooding the world's pretty cool. There is a few issues with, as you can see, some of the rendering of the blocks. There's like a missing layer of water whenever it falls, and there's no dynamic like texture effect on the water. I want to add that still, and then I also want to change the water to where instead of 10 units of depth per voxel, I get 100 units of depth per voxel, which will allow me to have like a more realistic flow, and I think it'll make it easier to calculate how water spreads. Like right now, since it's 10 units, let me switch over it. Since it's 10 units of water per voxel, when I drop it, it gets these weird patterns because it tries to spread in a kind of random way, and I feel like if I had a more round value for the water, that would be a little easier, if that makes sense. Sorry if I'm confusing y'all. But yeah, so that's basically water. Let's get out of here before it lags really bad. Something cool, a cool side effect of the water engine is when you break blocks underwater, it creates air pockets, which then become bubbles, which is kind of fun to play with as well. The water itself has a few effects. It has this terrible tiling wavy effect that I'm probably going to get rid of and replace with something else. And it also has this little wavy effect, which I may or may not keep because it kind of looks weird with small water blocks. But yeah, so that's about it for water. I've got several terrain features. I've got hills, mountains, plateaus, lakes, oceans, and tall peaks. A lot of these features can overlap, which is one of the fun parts of the game. It uses several two-dimensional noise functions to create all these overlapping layers of terrain, and it'll eventually cause possible overlap of biomes and things like that. So that'll make the world even more random, because you could have a desert on a mountain, or you could have a snow biome on a plateau, which could happen in real life, you know, so why not add that into the game? It creates a more random feel. Right now there's only one biome, and these forests are spread over the entire terrain, which looks terrible on the top of mountains, but that's just what I have so far, since that's it's kind of just a prototype phase right now. Let's see, is there anything else? Oh, I'll show you some of the optimizations I've done to the game to achieve a high FPS. I'm not even really running on a great computer. I use a laptop for development with a Intel i5 and I think it's a 5400 Radeon graphics card. It's not very fast. I want to make sure that the game can run on lower end PCs. So I've implemented a triangle merging algorithm where cubes next to each other with the same texture will join geometry, and it greatly reduces the throughput and the transfer of geometry to the GPU. It'll reduce the memory on the GPU, and it overall makes the game faster for the FPS and much easier on the CPU and all that. So if you want to increase the render distance to a much higher level, you can. I'm running it a solid 60 frames per second no matter where I look, even with the far distance terrain, which I feel is pretty well done right now. The LODs themselves are quad tree based, as you can see. They increase in detail as they get closer, and the farther away they are, the less detail there is. The render distance can be really far without any major FPS drop, because there's very few vertices being used. I still need to tweak the algorithms, but I think right now I'm at about 400 miles. It's something really ridiculous. this world is much bigger than it looks, and I feel that when I add texture and maybe some kind of approximation of trees on the terrain, the scale will be much more apparent. But this mountain right here is, I want to say, 9,000 meters tall, which is, I think, as tall, if not taller, than Mount Everest. Something around that. But climbing this thing would be like, it would just take forever in the game. So I want to include some kind of transportation in the game, be it teleportation or flying vehicles or something like that, when I actually start working on more of the gameplay issues. But right now the game is pretty boring. It's just kind of an explore and break things. It's just an engine, and I'll have much more cool things to show you guys in the next video when I work on more things. But you know, thanks for watching, guys. I'll give you guys a quick look at the top of a mountain, forest included, because of course there's forest everywhere. And if you wanted to climb this mountain or climb down it, it might take you literally days in-game time to climb, because it is just way too big to do and it's very boring since it's all one biome. The main idea of this game is going to be to promote exploration, so I'm going to want to do procedurally generated, you know, structures and lots of different biomes. And if you're more into the Minecraft-like style of biomes, where the biomes are very small, there's very small mountains all around, and there's tons of different features all over the place, and you can walk for 30 minutes and see several different features. I'll probably include an option to where you can just use a similar type of terrain generation. It's all about just tweaking the values, and anybody can change the way the world looks just by changing a few numbers and parameters. And yeah, so that's the main idea, is just customization, far travel, and eventually, hopefully, I will have guns and monsters, but that's going to be probably years away, since I'm still learning OpenGL, and this is all a learning process for me, and I'm just trying to have fun with it. College student, sophomore right now, and this is just kind of a side project for me right now. But thanks for watching, you guys. I appreciate support, and subscribe if you'd like to see any more videos. I'll try to release at least once a month. Maybe faster, depending on how much programming I get done. Thanks, guys, and thanks for watching.